You ever buy something and then immediately regret it? What if the reason wasn't the price, but who you think you are? Today, I want to flip one idea on its head. Your money moves, follow your identity. Stick with me. In a moment, I will show a tiny 60-second test that reveals your money identity. Later, I will reveal a simple experiment that predicts who will save more. Two small reveals. One big payoff. By the end, you will see how to stop self-sabotage and start a new money story that actually fits your life. Identity is a label you use for yourself. It's a story about who you are and what you deserve. For money, that story answers questions like, am I frugal or a spender? Am I good with investments or not? Those answers guide choices without you thinking. Neuroscience calls this automaticity. Once a behavior fits an identity, it repeats with less friction. That explains why advice like pay yourself first fails if your identity says you're bad with money. This section breaks that down. First, identity sits above habits. Habits are tactics. Identity is the strategy. Second, identity shapes attention. You notice opportunities that match your self-image and ignore those that do not. Third, identity creates comfort zones. Change feels like a betrayal of who you are. Understanding these 3 points is the first step to changing money behavior. Later, it'll give you a short exercise to test your current money identity and start rewriting it. Here's a mini story you will recognize. You walk into a coffee shop. The barista asks your name. You order the usual. Then you see an expensive pastry. Your hand hovers. If your identity is self-indulgent, you buy it and feel authentic. If your identity is disciplined, you skip it and feel consistent. The choice is small, but repeated choices become an identity-reinforcing loop. That everyday spending moment explains a lot. The pattern is simple. A trigger, a decision, a story you tell yourself. Most people pick the story first, then the decision follows. This is why budgeting without shifting identity feels like punishment. You might follow rules for a week, then revert because the rules clash with who you believe you are. The goal is to make your desired financial acts feel identity consistent. That pastry should be something a wealth-building person occasionally enjoys, not a betrayal. Later, it'll show a framing trick that makes disciplined choices feel natural instead of restrictive. We inherit money beliefs from family, culture, and peers. Those are social scripts that sound like facts. For example, the script "money is scarce" or "money corrupts" can shape lifelong choices. Social conditioning also creates status signals. Which car, neighborhood, or brand says "I made it in your circle"? People learn to chase those signals to maintain identity. Here's that experiment I mentioned earlier. Researchers gave participants a simple framing task about future spending and measured saving behavior later. The surprising result was not intelligence or income, it was which framing matched the participants' identity script. People who saw themselves as future-oriented saved more, even when the monetary incentives were identical. That means changing the story you tell about yourself can change behavior more than changing the incentives. In short, incentives matter, but identity flips the switch. We will use that insight to dismantle common traps next. Now, a career moment. Imagine you are up for a promotion. You have two choices: negotiate or accept the role silently. If your work identity is doer, not negotiator, you may avoid asking for more. That identity determines pay trajectories over years. I saw this in a team I coached. One high performer declined to negotiate, believing they were lucky to have a job. That identity cost them tens of thousands over time. Identity traps at work include the humble worker, the impatient climber, and the perfectionist who waits for perfect timing. Each trap creates a predictable financial path. The fix starts with naming the trap and rehearsing a counter story. Practice scripts, small wins, and public commitments help. In a minute, it'll show a short roleplay method you can use to rewire your workplace identity so you actually get paid what you are worth without losing authenticity. Reframing identity is practical, not mystical. Start with language. Replace "I can't" with "I am learning." Replace "am not a saver" with "am building a savings muscle." Next, use evidence. Collect small wins and log them. Wins change self-narrative faster than affirmations. Third, change your environment. Surroundings cue identity. If cafes trigger impulse buys, change your route. Fourth, adopt identity-based goals. Instead of save $100, aim to be the kind of person who saves monthly. Finally, ritualize the behavior to make it automatic. Use consistent timing, like an automatic transfer right after payday. These tactics work because they align the action with a believable identity. This section closes the loop on one of our early promises, the 60-second identity test. It is simple. Ask which behavior feels more like you, indulging now or planning for future comfort. Your answer exposes your default money identity and shows where to begin. Real people change identities and money follows. A client I worked with thought of herself as perpetually behind. She started calling herself someone who plans. She scheduled one weekly 30-minute money session. 3 months later, she had an emergency fund and had increased retirement contributions. Another founder shifted from identity as a scrappy solo to strategic CEO by delegating tasks and tracking metrics. Her revenue doubled in a year. These stories share the same pattern: small identity shifts, consistent practice, and environmental supports. They also prove that identity work isn't arrogance. It is deliberate behavior shaping. You do not need a dramatic personality overhaul. You need micro shifts that make new choices feel natural. The payoff is not just more money, but less mental tax. When your financial actions match your self-image, decisions become simpler, and stress falls away. Here are 5 precise steps you can apply today. 1. Label your current money identity honestly. 2. Pick one behavior that matches your desired identity and practice it daily for 30 days. 3. Create an environmental nudge like automatic transfers or removing shopping apps. 4. Publicly commit to a small financial ritual to make it real. 5. Track micro wins and retell your story weekly. These steps close the second open loop we promised, the experiment that predicted saving. Make the future self vivid and people act like they belong to that future. Use visuals, notes, or a brief letter to future you. The final point: consistency compounds. Identity is not a switch, it is a muscle. Train it with small, repeatable actions, and the money outcomes will follow. Start with one step today and schedule the next. If this shifted something for you, try the 60-second identity test now and leave one micro win in the comments. If you want more frameworks like these, subscribe for weekly wealth psychology breakdowns. Quick recap. Identity drives choices. Small daily acts reinforce self-image. Social scripts and workplace narratives can steal wealth, but they can also be rewritten. Use language, evidence, environment, and ritual to reframe your money identity. Start with one micro habit and make it public. Identity change is slow but consistent, and it's the most reliable path to lasting wealth. Apply the 5 steps and check back in a month.